been a long time that we needed to talk, and I have
Yes,
gone through that amazing story of yours, and it actually I found that it restates my faith in humanity that whatever the circumstances, all of us can rise about it and help each other. And on this version of Hear Me Right, my viewers would like to know what and how means you have now become a phenomenon spread over the world. And I can say for the youngsters, teens, and even younger kids who are listening to the show, uh, how can social media be used for the good of others? It's something that I think you are the best person to speak about that. So could you please tell us? Could you please tell, especially these youngsters whom we find they use social media just for Facebook and even Facebook. Your media is of course Facebook. But how did you make this? How does things happen? How does become such a phenomenon? Could you please start with your journey first?
okay. So when the lockdown started in South Africa, we give me one second, one second. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So when the okay, I seem to have lost your audio now. Okay, so when lockdown started in South Africa, there was no plan for this group. It was just a person that I call my friend is an ex-pupil of mine, actually, from many years ago. Posted on his private page something to the effect that if you have any difficulty, especially with food, don't hesitate. Just privately send me your address, and I will come around and share whatever I have with you and your family anonymously. I'll place the food on your doorstep, knock and go. And this little post, I want to say, almost became sort of viral. And the idea was not to form a group. The idea was just to share the idea or the concept that neighbors can help neighbors. And literally overnight, and oh, yeah, obviously this idea just started in Pretoria, but literally overnight, this message or this post went around everywhere, particularly in South Africa, and people started asking for help from the immediate area in Pretoria, and then we had others coming to their assistance, total strangers who saw the post that, listen, I live at this particular address, and these are my circumstances. And anonymously, other strangers would just contact the person I'm referring to, the Riaz, who's actually the founder of the group, and say, okay, listen, I've got this covered. I'll take them bread, I'll take them whatever it is. And this idea grew to the point where we started getting requests from further afield outside of Pretoria. Now, we obviously didn't have any or know anybody there. And this gave rise to the idea of forming a group on Facebook specifically where people could join in, both people in need of help as well as people who are able to help. So the group was really um, facilitated this. We were connecting those who could help to those who needed help. Uh, Total volunteers. Eventually, we became 12 admin members and really strangers. We met each other on Facebook. And obviously, I think the important thing to know here is that, uh, social media can be used or it can have negative connotations. You need to be careful what you post. And I'm not suggesting you don't express yourself, but people can trust you or distrust you based on your profile. And I can assure you that of the 12 admin members that we had on the group, total strangers, absolute strangers, total donated thousands and thousands of pens to us. So the integrity and the trust that they had in us, and this is something we discussed on our group also, that our profiles indicated that, these are reliable people. As much as we are strangers, and also we had no plan for the group. It was just a loose idea. Listen, let's see what we can do about getting help to our neighbor. And we very quickly had to learn the intricacies of how groups work on Facebook and how the page works and how you can advertise and what are the tools. And then we sort of tried to formalize the program where if a person needed help, they would send in a request, as we call it, to one of the admin members directly, obviously on Messenger. The advantage, of course, is that you didn't need to have data because you could do it on free mode. We in turn would then post their request, but also anonymously. We take out any personal contact details. For us, what was important was maintaining the dignity of the people that needed help. The idea then from there was that if anybody was in a position to help, they would obviously have identified the post and then volunteer their assistance. And into a week, about 3 to 5 days into the formation of the group, we discovered this grocery voucher system. And it was simple to use, simple to buy, and very, very easy to actually issue to someone. Because you just sent it via SMS directly to their phone. The reliable system, easy to control, easy to manage. And we started focusing on doing that. So our plea to our donors were, you can go online, buy a voucher, all you need is the cell number of the recipient. And this just grew like wildfire. Our focus then became on identifying donors or sponsors for vouchers. And I must tell you, it really grew rapidly. It actually showed a total, for me especially. I mean, I'm slightly older, as you would notice, and social media and Facebook is new,
I
relatively new.
also remember, Mr. Jaffer, I got a request from people in Isla Branston. There were some personal people who needed help, and there was a guy from Rosetteville also who told me that please ask him. Then I remember messaging you that is there any way that this guy has lost his job and you could help? And you said, yeah, I've seen it. Means you were at every single group, everywhere in social media where people are desperately asking for help, which is a very big thing because every single group, I love Randburg, I love Lone Hill, I love Branson, there were thousands and thousands of people asking for help. But there were very few people who were actually helping them. Everyone was saying, okay, we pray for you, we do that, we do this. But I remember, as means I was not asking for help, but someone was asking, and I could do nothing at that point of time. But I remember asking you and said, yes, I'm looking over it. So that as an individual put me at peace that even if there are so many people asking for help, there is this guy from this course that is actually helping. And I had mothers and very pregnant ladies also who told me, ma'am, just give us 50 zar. Means I don't know, means we can all understand. Means all of us are in very strange times. But giving that 50 zar when you are having only 100, that speaks about your integrity, your capacity as human being above all else. So I believe that's the reason why this group grew so much. Means when you just see the statistics, I have been reading and showing my son also that just in a few months you have grown from 70,000 to 100,000 people whom you have helped already. And I'm not even considering even the members. There are 26,000 members which I could find from your statistics that you showed to me. That really says that this group of yours not only has it helped people, it has helped others, ourselves, others, not even others, me, even me as an individual, realize that we all of us can help someone else if we just think so. So when Ria started this group, Miss, you said that you are his teacher for a long time. What do you think made you join this means? And did you have any idea or thought that this thing would become such a revolution? Did you even, for a second, assume that this guy, there must be something that Riaz had seen and trusted in you, because of which he thought that he can start this organization? It was not done alone. It was done with all these individuals and mentors and all these admins of yours. So, what did you feel when you joined this to make this such a thing? Could you please tell
Okay, so what Riaz initially was doing, if he, for example, had a request, he would post it on his personal page, and obviously, being on Facebook on most of the time, I would see it, and I would then share it because I saw the need. I mean, I recognized what he was doing, and within a short time, he asked me to join the group as an admin to get involved. And I must say it again, we had no plan, we had no idea. You know, we always talk about things going viral, and it's always somebody else doing it or some other event. And this is the first time in my life that on social media I was involved with something that literally became viral. As a matter of fact, it even spread to the Philippines. And the beautiful story about the Philippines, we were getting requests directly from there, and it was impossible for us to assist from South Africa. But what happened, the beautiful thing was that Riaz eventually made contact with somebody in the Philippines, and they set up a group in the Philippines also called Join the Cause, doing exactly what we were doing in South Africa. So it actually began to spread. I won't say it's all over the world, but it definitely spread to other countries. And literally, we did it from the comfort of our home. I mean, I didn't get off my cell phone for 16, 18 hours a day. And that was all the admins were doing that. You know, as soon as we wake up, the first thing we're doing is checking messages. And we work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Or we were all in lockdown, so we were available. And we did it all off Facebook. No other resource. Of course, we use Messenger. You know, and as the numbers grew, yeah, we had to come up with the strategies how we were going to controlling who received, and there were no duplications and so on. And then we started using our own experience and expertise to control that. But just through social media, it's actually amazing what can be done. And you know, there's no direct cost. You must know we're all volunteers. Uh, Most of us have gone back to work, but still in the evening they check on the messages, still sharing donors. It's okay, all right, Abdul, listen, oh, Bunny, has a voucher been donated to me. How many people on your list? And we've never met physically. We still continue to work entirely of social media. So it can be a very powerful tool. And I've come to realize that more so since I've been directly involved. I mean, I had an idea it can be valuable for marketing and advertising. I did a bit of that at my previous job. But I didn't get too much into it. But with this group, I have come to realize that if used correctly, social media is a phenomenal tool. Even you mentioned the employment issue. We also realized we had no plan for our group, like I said initially. But midway through, we started thinking, you know what, we need to start deciding, is this group going to end when the lockdown ends? Or do we still want to continue what we're doing or something similar? And our idea at the moment is to look towards like a self-help group. You know, instead of just giving people food or a voucher directly, try to get them linked to job creation activities or direct
you
job
are going to
applications,
think
you
of
know, share
reskill.
vacancies and so on. Yes. So that is sort of where we're looking to take the group now. There's a lot of thinking still to be done. Um, Again, it comes from the idea that we had no plan for anything. This was something that literally exploded overnight, and the admin, we don't want to walk away from it now. You know, we sort of become attached to it, and we want to see it grow and become still helping people, but maybe in a slightly different way. You know, like if we can get somebody a job, it's so much better than just a 250 in grocery box, because then they can feed themselves and feed their family. And many people then pay it forward. They come back to us and say, listen, you guys helped me last month. I'm working now. Can I please help somebody else?
That is the most
So
amazing part. Yeah. The
yeah,
reason, Mr.
and that is,
Zafar, yeah, I wanted to have this conversation is I have this foundation. It's called as currently all of us. It started as a support group. It's called as a Storm in a Teacup. So it was actually for ladies who are unable to talk. Few years back, unable to talk with their families or whatever was ailing them. It was just a sort of a year, a listening year for ladies. And this year, last few months, it has happened that many members, girls, of course, especially girls, young girls, teenage, and women have joined who have been asking me about reskilling. And I am basically professionally, I'm an engineer and I'm a speaker also, and an educator at that. So I have found that the reskilling that these ladies require currently is something that will just put in their mouth. Means I have got very skilled beauticians, I have got very skilled ladies who make wigs, do nails, and all this sort of stuff. So what I find that when you talk about reskilling, it's a question that has been ailing me, but I needed to actually ask you, how do you reskill them? Because right now the market is not for beauty and this product. Market is aggressively looking to go for something that is a solid standing. So where do you think that going forward the reskilling can occur? Which part, in which way? Not in beauty at all, not in education. There is any more reskilling currently in the market economy. Where do you personally feel that you can create self-employment?
it's amazing that you asked me that. I was actually thinking about this. And as much as I'm a teacher,
Yeah,
I had resigned some years ago and then studied paramedicine. So I became a paramedic and then subsequently got involved in medical education. And with the lockdown and the high unemployment, particularly in South Africa, it made me realize that we need to start looking at what are the jobs or skills that need to be in place so that people can stay employed. For example, specifically in a lockdown.
yes,
And like you
absolutely.
correctly say, a skill like a barber shop or nails or hair,
So many
it gets
things because
relegated.
particularly I
And
deal with ladies, so I had them who were having spada shops. There were many who were just cooking cakes or food and all those things which a lady can normally do after taking care of the kids and all, that have all absolutely come to a stop because of the lockdown. And it's a
yes,
I don't know what to do, what to tell them actually. So means going forward, which reskilling do you feel is
look, I think we need to the jobs specifically that were found to be essential. Now, look, all of us can't be policemen or nurses or whatever
yeah,
the case may be, but we need to look at those kind of uh, employment areas where people continue to go to work, and we need to see how we can, as you correctly say, not necessarily upskill people, but reskill them because, yes, some people have been working for 20 or 25 years, but they're working in an industry that's not essential and then suddenly find themselves unemployed. Um, what I did see, in as much as education seems to have taken a back seat, I find a lot of people looking towards online learning and the need for online teaching, which is actually a new skill. You can be a very good teacher in the classroom,
feel
but
that is
teaching online is
that
a bit
is
of
time
difficulty.
consuming. Yeah, that is actually time
Yeah,
consuming because you have to do level 4 and then level 5 to even become a teacher
yeah,
grade and a full teacher. So that again is with the current condition
yeah.
of people. Yeah, I'm talking about these people whom I support personally. So for them going forward, like say for next 3 months, next 6 months, what would you guide? What would you advise for them? What should they do to get into earning, becoming earning members?
You look, home industry seems to be flourishing in my area, for example. I see, especially on Facebook, a lot of people who were not doing anything like this before. They may have been employed wherever, in the formal sector, are now offering services from home. Using the resources that they have at home. They don't have a commercial kitchen, just whatever resources they have available, and using their time, and obviously using social media to advertise. And this is ranging, from selling your basic everyday home cleaning stuff. You can make it at home with very little input.
Yeah.
It's a small home industries,
Yeah.
um, and it's amazing. It's about innovation, I would say. Trying to find something that is where there's a gap in the market. And I think it's area based. Something that may work, for example, in a rural area is not going to work in a place like center of Pretoria. So people need to, I think, do a bit of due diligence and identify where there's a gap in the market. Um, so I would say the reskilling should involve some degree of entrepreneurship, you know,
Okay.
teaching
More into
people how to run a little home business,
okay. Rather than
yeah. And then once they have, it's sort of a generic skill as to run a home business. And then that person involved should go and look now, okay, what is the gap in the market in my area? And how can I fulfill that gap? I see a lot of people are looking into these agencies. It can be dangerous, especially the forex market.
Can, yeah. I
Now
had
people
people
are
who
a bit desperate. And I think it's not something we want to teach them, but something to warn them against. You know, uh, they seem to think that money can be made by just investing. And unfortunately, they get scammed out of the money. So, in as much as we need to reskill people, we also need to keep them aware of the pitfalls. So they may have a small savings, and they don't want to lose their savings by investing it foolishly. You know, uh, and that's what I'm saying. The entrepreneur skills, basic business skills, so they know how to set up and run a business. Instead of giving the idea that, look, if I give somebody 500 rand, end of the month, I'm going to have 5,000 rand. That doesn't happen. That's not for
it
real.
doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. That's always a fear.
It's still going to, yeah, it's hard work, and it's working every day consistently. And that's why I'm saying, if we can get them to have a generic skill, yeah, we can, of course, add specific skills like doing home needlework, sewing, stuff like that.
That is, yeah, but
Because it's missing in the school. It used to be taught in schools. It's not taught in schools anymore.
it's no
It
longer.
doesn't. We're not talking of advanced tailoring or seamstress work. Just your basic, just to do some basic work that will give you a daily income that you can do in the comfort of your home using very little resources. So, and the time to do that training is short. It's not months and months of training. You can spend 3 or 4 days and have given them the skills to do this kind of thing. Obviously, they must have some degree of inclination to do it, because they're
Yeah.
essentially going to be selling themselves
That
as a product.
definitely
Yeah.
is required. Yeah.
And also cost is at this point in time, I think, is a major factor. So in the reskilling process, it should be almost free of any cost where possible. And if there's going to be a cost involved, keep it to a minimum. And then also whatever businesses, the home industry, the people want to pursue, um, it should be viable. You can't ask them to make a 20,000 rand investment. I don't think people have that kind of money to invest safely anymore. Uh, I think the important thing is it's not a quick fix. People need to realize that whatever reskilling they receive, 90% of the benefit is going to come from working every day. You can't work 2 days a week and earn the income that you were earning. You understand what I'm saying, in the formal sector. So you got to get up every day and work every day. And because you're working for yourself, the harder you work, the more you earn. It's that kind
Really,
of
I
thing.
believe
So
you are working for yourself. You have more motivation to work harder as compared to if you're working
yes,
for others. Yeah, that's the motivation I have seen. If you are getting your money in your pocket, then you have a more urge to go forward and make it a success, other than if you're getting it in a
exactly. Mm.
salary. Yeah. That's a very good point
And
that you
also, I mean, you people come to see sometimes because you're your own boss. When you work for somebody, when you're not giving 100%. You can make like you're working, but in truth, you're just slacking off today. When you work for yourself, you realize, yeah, I can slack off, but no one suffers but me because you're now self-employed. So you're
yes,
the employee and the employer, and you learn some valuable personal skills also. About, I won't say honesty, but about being fair to yourself. Because
yes,
if you put in poor effort, you're going to get a poor product. Either it's not going to sell well, or they're going to come back and complain. So there's a lot to be learned. It doesn't just stop and start with the income. I think there's personal development that can come
yes,
from
yes. You need to
from
grow.
that kind of industry, home industry, which is overlooked. I think over time, a self-employed person in home industry can become a very good employee in the future because you learn self-dedication when you're working for yourself. Imagine how well you can do if you have more resources and a support structure if you're working for a company. You if you go to work for 8 hours, you're going to work for 8 hours. Okay, with your breaks and so on. But the point is, you become a better employee, and potentially you can become an employer of other people. It
Yes,
just depends on. It's about, I think, what you put in is what you're going to get out. You know. So it
absolutely.
depends on individual. Yeah.
I hope
So
the
I think it
viewers,
can work.
I hope the viewers take this point. This is a very vital point that for you to succeed, you have to put in yourself, your work, your decisions. But Mr. Jaffer, I personally also feel that school should do a little bit of teaching entrepreneurship to our future generations. Because if that spark is put into at the school level, if this situation like today, where the economy is in a standstill, ever happens in the future, our generation will be better equipped to deal with that. Do you feel that it should be taught in schools? Basic entrepreneurship. I'm not saying you just go and start a organization when you're in school, but just basic guidelines of how to manage your money and how to skill yourself when there is nothing available, so that in the future, if this happens again, you never know. Our generations, our younger generations are more equipped to deal with it. You feel that?
You know, that's a very valuable point. And again, it's strange that you asked me this. I was thinking about that last night. The current curriculum seem to overwork the learners with self-help skills. They don't know. I remember when we were in school, you learned how to balance a checkbook, but you need to be able to balance a checkbook. Hold on 1 second, 1 second. I think I'm losing power here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the signal was going, yeah, a bit. Now it's fine again. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. So can you hear me? Let me just get my headset on again. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So those self-help skills are not taught anymore. They
No,
don't. I remember specifically we had to go to the bank to get, okay, it doesn't exist today as much, but to get the deposit slip, the physical deposit slip, and learn to fill it in. That's not done anymore. So it's basic skills about personal development, how to have a budget, balancing income and expenditure. If you want to open an account, what do you need to open an account? Um, Whatever the case may be, some basic legal skills about, even it doesn't even have to stop at the finance. You're talking about your car's license. If your car's license expires, where do you renew it?
Everything,
How long
absolutely.
does a car's license be valid for? I remember we used to have a subject in school way back in the day called right living, and guidance was a separate subject. They don't have that anymore. And they were important subjects. They were not exam subjects, but they taught skills which you were going to use for the rest of your life, or they were meant to be skills to be used for the rest of your life. And that's missing. So we need to somehow find a way of reintroducing that into the curriculum, where people, when they leave school, they can function as adults. They don't have to rely on absolutely everybody or be totally clueless about basic stuff. Which are the different government departments for responsible? If I need finance to start a small company, can I go to the National Youth Development Agency? I can promise you there are millions of young people that have no idea that the NYDA exists, or what do they do. You know, the IDT, the Independent Development Trust, and where to go, how to take advantage of what could be available for funding and financial assistance to develop and start a business, whatever the case may be. So yes, those kind of things need to be brought back into school. We're focusing, our current curriculum is focusing so much on academic development that we're not developing the whole learner anymore. So they come out of school, they may be excellent in terms of maths and science and subjects that we want them to
Yeah,
be,
they're lagging. I
but
have
they're
the
not
feeling that's
successful
the problem.
adults because they lack these basic skills. We used to teach them how to use a safety belt. It sounds childish, but it's important skills to have.
Yeah,
Why safety belt works. You can do that in the lower grades and add stuff as the grades go on. Um, there was a movement. I know some of the more established or affluent schools, for example, in grade 10, do the learners are required to do a 3-year certificate short course like first aid level 1, 2, and 3, for example. It's a
yes,
very valuable skill
exactly.
set to
Yeah,
have. So
yeah.
if you think about it, if every single child in every single school leaves with a basic first aid skill, certified first aid skill, which is very easy to do, it takes a week. So every week they can develop a similar skill, either related to like first aid or motor mechanics, opening a bank account, managing a bank account, drawing up a budget. I think we'll have a more rounded learner, not just university entrance material, but
Yeah,
life entrance
absolutely.
material.
Yeah. They would be
They'll
teaching
learn
them
how
how to deal with the
to
crisis
live
like
better.
this with the face.
And I think that's where the gap currently is in, I understand,
It's all over the world.
historically
I find
problem.
this problem everywhere. Every education system in the world is
And
lagging
you know
behind.
that,
More of
yeah,
marks,
your
more
experience will be, yeah, you'll be able to talk around the world. Look, South Africa, and I understand, and I tell people this,
we are growing.
it's a
Yes.
different discussion, but the legacy of apartheid and whatever 17 education departments at one point, I understand that the state and the Department of the Ministry of Education and so on had to restructure in some way. And despite all the other problems with tenders and so on, we don't have the best education system. I believe the plan was it was a system that was intended to develop over time, to address the imbalances of the past and then get us all into one level playing field and then go forward.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it has stalled. We haven't progressed. So we're still stuck in about 15 years ago in terms of the plan, and there doesn't seem to be a plan for the future. But if I could contribute to it, it would definitely be to see reintroducing those life skills. I know they have a subject called life skills, but from what I've seen
It
of
is
it, there's
taught in
not life
life
skills
skills.
at all.
Yeah, I know my kids are in grade 9, they have crossed. So in life skill, what they are taught till now is nothing, anything that I believe I should know, my child should know, or what even you discussed about. None of them have been taught till now in life skill.
Yeah,
Nothing.
there's no real life.
We have a life school, life orientation, and life skill as a subject, but
Yeah,
essentially, what is required for a child to survive without the parents is not taught, at least till grade 9. It is still, I don't know
yeah.
about next year, they have not been taught.
Look,
No way. They have
there
not
are
been.
certain schools. Um, in my previous employment, I was involved in an organization that taught first aid, for example, was part of the medical education.
Separate
And
organization.
yes, there were certain schools that made it a prerequisite, like I mentioned, for example, for the first aid. It was a standard, and it's been a standard at those schools for many years. We unfortunately, it should have been a requirement. I don't know if you recall a short 2 years ago, there was a big demand to have all teachers trained in first aid,
Yes,
all
yes.
educators.
That had been
I
done.
think one of the,
All the teachers did that.
yeah,
At least my kids' school
which is
teachers did.
fine for educators. I think it's a requirement for educators to renew, um, and it's an ongoing thing given the environment they're working in. But I think for the learners, which is where the focus of our discussion is, it should be a basic part of the curriculum. You know, and they can allow a degree of flexibility. Even a simple thing like gardening. I know it may sound odd, but our learners have no basic gardening skills. They don't know how to use tools, a screwdriver or a plier. They can't even distinguish a plier from a screwdriver in some cases, you know. Um, and in today's day and age, you can't afford to be hiring people to do basic stuff, you know. So I think life skills is a critical part of what needs to be real life skills, not the life skills that they have currently. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully somebody will get the message. But I think besides the school, a very important component of the education triangle is what I was taught as a teacher. The parent, the child, and the school, of course. The parent is a critical component. If it's missing in the school, the parent has an equally important role to still give their child that life skills. You know, they may not have it directly, but they can go out and find it. You know, where somehow the child can be
Absolutely.
exposed to whatever it is, basic finance, what is basic handcraft. Remember way back we used to teach handicraft, we used to teach
Yes.
woodwork. Girls did domestic science. All of that's gone. You know, girls come out of grade 12, they can't cook basic food. Not girls have to, anybody can. And the boys can't do any skills, the girls can't cook. So there's a really big gap in their personal development, I think.
Development. Yeah, Mr. Jaffer, just coming back to the topic, uh, you have changed this name of the organization from Join the Cause SA to Love and Light. Could you just highlight why and why did you change it? Was there a specific reason why this
My,
happened?
my colleague actually took the responsibility to change the group. We had tossed around the idea of a name change. The thinking behind it was Join the Cause was a feeding support group, okay,
Okay,
or is a feeding group. And because we started thinking of a shift in emphasis of the group towards more self-help and self-development, we felt maybe a name change could somehow change the face of the group. You know,
okay.
love and light may be a bit very encompassing. You know, but I think that was the thinking that it was all about love and caring for people. But the main drive behind the name change was mainly from our point just to re-strategize as to what the future of the group will become. You know,
Okay.
so sort of that was the thinking. Maybe not the best of ideas, but like I said, remember this group had no direct
You are
plan. We
involving, yeah. You are trying to
Flying
move
by the seat
into
of our pants.
self-sustaining the
And
group. Yeah.
that's basically what's it about. So
Okay, one more thing. I'm just reading out what you sent me over actually, that there are now 26,000 members, and you have assisted approximately 15,000 families since inception. This translates into about 70 to 100,000 people reached with food. And you have also found that this is the part that really means reinstates my belief in humanity, that some donors are pensioners, yet they make every effort to donate, even if it is hundreds are a month. Another beautiful development is that people you have assisted have come back to offer assistance once they were able to. Mr. Jafar, how does it feel? Means in a society, in a community where everywhere, all world over, I'm not talking specifically of here, where every single or every individual, every other individual you meet talks about losing their faith in humanity. How does it feel that you have been the originator or one of the organizers of this mass social media revolution to happen, where every single person who has ever been helped by you or who you are still who is coming back to help you, both of them, how does it feel that uh, how what means what's I don't know, I'm just overwhelmed towards, I can't frame the exact word. What do you feel has made them reinstate this faith in humanity, which was lost, absolutely lost 6 months back when COVID started actually? How did you bring these
look,
people together? Why? And amazing, it really means I don't know what's the exact word I should use.
like I said,
That's the thing.
we had no plan. And as we were progressing, and there were days when we had no donors. I'm talking of zero
Oh,
donors in the early days. Like not every day, but by 12,
okay.
1 o'clock in the morning, a day already, we discuss on the group, guys, we haven't had a donor today. And I tend to pray a lot, and so do my colleagues. And then we'd say, okay, listen, we're taking a prayer break. And amazingly, just like you correctly said, we'd get one simple donor come back and say, you guys helped me 2 weeks ago, and I'm okay now. I would like to help somebody. And we'd share that information. And that immediately, it was almost like energy for us. Because after a whole day or half a day of no donors, you get despondent because
Yes.
people asking for food, they're begging, and you can't help them because there are no donors. And here, all of a sudden, you get one message, and that message lights a fire under you again. It's inspirational, and it's almost like new energy, and we go out again. And I don't know, it's almost as if positive energy feeds off positive energy. I
Yes.
can't actually, it's not tangible. I
Amazing.
can't show you.
Yeah.
Actually, the minute you share that positivity, the donors come forward. It's almost like it's just a beautiful thing. It firstly it re-energized us because we were getting despondent. Then we get these beautiful messages, and we get a lady who contacts me and says, "Listen, I'm a pensioner. I survive on my pension, but I'd like to buy one voucher every month." I mean,
Yeah.
that 100
That's
probably
incredible.
worth.
Yeah.
And then we share that information, and it's almost like an injection of energy. And then all of us on the group throw our weight going out to speak to other people for assistance. And like I said, it's positive. This positivity just generates more positivity. It's almost, I don't know, it's like a subconscious something happens. And as you correctly say in the beginning, there was really the loss of humanity, people not caring for
Yeah.
people. Um, and
All
then
of us
there
were.
was just new people concerned, and they read our posts, and I created a post. I'll actually send it to you. I said, um, I want to ask God, why does He allow poverty and famine and so on the earth? But I'm scared He'll ask me the same thing. So I put that post out there in our group.
I have
And a
read that.
lady
Yes.
said to me, you know what? I've been following your group, but I didn't feel, I don't know who you guys are, and I don't think I could give you any money because I'm not sure. And then she said, the minute I read that post, I knew what you were saying, and you spoke to me personally. And she became a donor every second, third day. She'd buy. So it's not something I can point to, years, hold on to this and things will change. I think at the base of all of us, there is goodness. It's just been clouded by
Yes.
all the
Yes.
negativity in life and the sickness and the strife around the world and the wars and whatever's happening. And in an amazing way, as much as COVID has changed the world, it's also brought out that goodness again in a lot of people, I must tell you. I've seen it through our group and I've seen it in my personal environment as well. Sometimes we need to have our back against the wall to stand together. You know, um,
I think so.
I,
Yes, I believe
I
that.
try
Yeah. Yes.
to, COVID is bad, but in many ways it's done us a lot of, in forcing families back into the home
Yes.
cooked meals. There's a lot of things. So it's strange, but people are basically good. That's my belief. We just need to go and find that goodness again. Or people need to relearn that, yeah, we are actually good people. We forgot it for whatever reason, or circumstances made us, not realize it. Or sometimes just made us stop being good because we were chasing money or we were, whatever it is we were doing. So I think one of the main reasons the people, the admin, my colleagues and I sat are on the group, is because we feed off that. It's a fantastic feeling when you
Yeah. You
people
feel so
giving off
warm
them.
even if you hand out a food to someone. It feels so warm.
Yes,
We feel so
and
nice.
you become, yeah, it's you can't really buy that feeling.
True.
It's
Yes.
which is one of the reasons we're
Absolutely.
getting. So yeah, it's something you can only experience when you do it. You
Yes.
can talk about it, but once you've done it or been involved in it, you get to understand the humanity of it all. You know, um, and I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Because although we're sharing vouchers, what we're actually sharing is goodness. We're sharing goodwill.
Yes.
Yes, it's in the form of the voucher, but I can't feed you myself. At least through this voucher, I can feed you, and that's the best thing we can do for each other. So I just hope we can sustain it. All of the positivity.
Definitely.
And you got to make the effort.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mr. Zafar, I have a Storm in a Teacup Foundation which started as a support group for young ladies, teens, and older women. We were just there for a listening ear. Over the course of a few years, we have evolved to start reskilling women. And still, with the current crisis of COVID, I have found that all the ladies who are already in my group, they were good beauticians, they were nail stylists, they were earning quite comfortably to take care of their family. But with the current economy and the scenario that it is in, the ladies barely find it possible to even earn 50 zar a day. From what I can see and what I have learned from your group, that going forward you are thinking of reskilling due to the steep decline in donations and sponsors fatigue. You are thinking of developing your role to find support for the unemployed people through self-help activities or other means of getting people in need to be self-supporting. Of course, it says that this latest idea is in consideration for women and young mothers, teen mothers, and older ladies who are unable to continue with very physical work. what is your advice as an educator? What do you feel that is the way for them to go forward, and how can your organization contribute to that?
Look, I would think we need to, the important thing with reskilling is it needs to be short stuff. You know, 3 week, 3 to 4 days to the week. We don't have the opportunity to spend 3 to 6, 8 months, even a year on giving people new skills. It's just not affordable. So that's the first thing. These programs need to be of low or no cost and of short duration. Uh, but what I think overarching over all of that, we need to include some basic entrepreneurial skills. You know, so it's the same basic skill that is made available to anybody looking for the reskilling situation, so that they in turn can then decide, they can do a bit of homework, you know, sort of due diligence in the area to establish where are the gaps in the market. So it could differ, you know, significantly from area to area, even within the same area. But the important thing is these people then receiving these entrepreneur skills would be able to set up, for example, a little home industry using resources that are in their homes, for example, or with minimum investment, possibly, not a lot of equipment, and of course there's issues of legality and certain things. So it's stuff that they'll be able to do at home without disrupting their lives, yet it's a source of income. But they need to know how to manage it. So I would think that we need to include this basic entrepreneur skills. And that should also possibly include awareness of where they can access assistance. You know, whether it's assistance through state funding or small business development, whatever the case may be. A lot of people are just unaware. You know, they don't have
Yes,
to go to the
yes,
bank for loan.
yes. They don't know. Absolutely. They don't know.
So we incorporated into this entrepreneur skills, sort of a starter pack, if we can call it that.
A
So you want
platform
to
is
start out,
required. Yeah, a platform is required where all the information is actually put forward. First, that these are the things available, and now you do this. So, is this going to be in your this thing when you are
this is
venturing forward?
about self-help. You know, simple thing like an email address.
Okay,
Older
okay.
people, years old, don't have an email address, don't know how to set up an email
Yes,
address.
yes, yes. I have my own mom who is unable to. Yes, absolutely.
So
Yes.
they don't have to have one to live, but it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's a, so those are things that we need to include so that people realize they can use the technology that's available. For example, free mode on Facebook. I can assure you there are thousands of millions of people that don't know that Facebook has a free mode,
Yeah.
which allows you
Yeah.
to act.
Yes, that's a thing I find. Buy data for me so that I can post a job on Facebook, and then I have to sit and teach. It has happened with me. How the free mode work means bring them personally and make them see this is how the thing work. This is something I face a lot. Yes, just
Those
for
are the kind of
posting.
skills
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
we include, and that can be taught across the board to everybody, whether they want to start a bakery at home or they want to start sewing it, whatever it is, that you know what I mean, that individual skill is fine. But just additional life skills which was not in place prior, that they didn't need
Okay.
before.
Yeah, they
Now they,
didn't
I think,
actually. Yeah.
to have it. And yeah, I know there are people that are a bit scared of technology, but we'll work with them and bring them online in a sense so that they have access to what's available online. And if you take the time, there's actually a lot of assistance available. I mean, there's free learning, really tons of free learning modules, but it's all online. You know, that there's a
Yes,
lot
they
of,
need that. Yeah, it's actually because of the high cost of data. I have found people unable to access it always. Even school kids have a problem with that, accessing that.
what can be possible, a possible solution is to negotiate. I know this may be a bit, it's a bigger project,
Yeah.
but set a platform where they can go to a facility like a local NGO or a local, I mean,
Okay.
every area where they can spend some time where possibly that facility has got
Okay, a sort
Wi-Fi.
of study center, a local study center for every region, or a home, even a home where 5, 6, or 10 learners, yeah, learners can.
Look,
That's
I've
a very good idea. Yes.
Wi-Fi in my house. It's unkept, so whether one person is working or 20 people are working, it's the same. And I won't donate anything, but I'll donate my Wi-Fi. Let me put it
Yeah,
that way.
that's a big thing. Absolutely. That's a big thing. Okay,
5
that's an
days,
option. Okay.
10 people come to my house and they do this online course. But it's going to take structuring and coordinating, and so that's sort of the direction we're looking to go into. Um, but these ideas that must still be tossed around, and we got to brainstorm around
Yes.
it.
Yes, of course.
Um,
Yeah.
but they're generic ideas, and I think they can be applied to. And that's the important thing that I wanted to tell you. We need to start thinking in a generic term. Transferable skills. If you're going to pigeonhole yourself with one skill and that doesn't work
Hmm.
out, you may find the time and effort and energy that went into that thing is now lost. So try and pursue the reskilling should be sort of broad enough to allow you to transfer your skills to something else if it becomes necessary.
Okay.
So, okay, it's going to take planning, but I think it's possible. So that's something to think about. And that's where
Okay.
we're looking, basically.
Going forward. Okay, Mrs. Zafar, this has been a really enlightening time with you. I will tell you, of course, I'm just putting this.
About it.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's what you make of it. It's entirely what you make of it. And the thing is just to get them motivated, whether it's young and old, to see that. And
Yes.
once they just make that first effort and they realize, listen, this can be something good, or I can feel good doing it. I think that'll get them hooked and start.
Yes. Yes.
And have access to resources today we never had. Although
It
I
was
think we
not
had a
there.
better life.
Actually, the resources were not there, but we were mentally more happy. We had more freedom.
Yes,
We had different other things which they don't have now. Family,
don't have.
community, so many things. Yeah, which is lagging for
Like I
them
said,
now. Yes.
I think we had a better life in that sense. But life develops and evolves like this, so it's now their
Yes.
turn.
Yes.
So they need to see how to make the best of their time. We can't live